If you're in construction, you don't have the luxury of sitting there going, is that a brick or is that a door? Can a brick identify as a door? Is this metal, is aluminium as strong as steel? Or is that just a moral perspective? Am I distinguishing between metals? Is that a hierarchy? Am I being racist against aluminium? The amount of new people I'm speaking to who are coming out of what you would call proper jobs, proper industries, not university professors, not this, not that, but mainly a lot of construction, entrepreneurs, people who own their own businesses, who are actually producing something physical that someone needs. And it's not, well, what I do is I design this special app for this minute market, which is big when you look at it globally.
Sure.
So you're a real person producing real things for someone, an end user.
Yeah. We have a family business, so we run it as a family business. My boys work with me and other members of the family. And it's enjoyable. We enjoy producing projects for people and serving our clients in that way and delivering an end product. It's very satisfying. But actually, it's interesting that you say that, because in the wider context of working in the building trade and working with other trades, there's two things that I enjoy about the trade. Number one is the banter that you get within the trades, but also just the common sense that you find within people that are within trade activities. As you're saying, that they have to produce something. They have to produce something to prove their value in terms of what they're going to receive in a monetary return. And I think, if we were to look across society, that value of common sense, obviously, seems to be in a dearth right now. And I think that is possibly why we're seeing so many people from hands-on trades making a commentary into what's happening to the nation, because there is that, I think, base level of common sense within people who have to produce something.
And that's because if you're in construction, you don't have the luxury of sitting there going, is that a brick or is that a door? Can a brick identify as a door? Is this metal, is aluminium as strong as steel? Or is that just a moral perspective? Am I distinguishing between metals? Is that a hierarchy? Am I being racist against aluminium? Because if you build a bridge with aluminium, I guarantee it'll fall down.
Exactly.
If you build a doorway with bricks, you won't be able to get through the doorway. So you don't have that luxury of being able to question what have become, we think, the universal truths. But in some professions, you can get away with that. So therefore they spend their time analysing the world and then putting forward new ideas and theories. Some may be perfectly turned out to be further correct. Some won't be. But they have that luxury where in the real world, in real jobs, you don't ever have that luxury.
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head there in the sense that in construction as an example industry, and there are other industries such as hospitality, for instance, which are closely related as well in terms of having to produce something. You're only going to produce something if it works.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, the client's going to show you the door, right? Yeah. Or if your work is substandard, the client's going to show you the door, right? So you have to produce something that is of good caliber and good standard, and it works at the end of the day. If you're installing doors and door jambs and they stick, guess what? You're either going to have a callback or you're going to not have that client in the future. So in those trades in which you have to produce something, you're going to have to do something that works. And what you're saying about the airy-fairy mentality of what seems to consume our academic class right now, and therefore by default our political class, is they're thinking about ideas that they probably had on the toilet in university. And so a lot of these ideas are completely in glass houses, crystal cathedrals. They don't work. They've never worked, but they get regurgitated in a new package. Marxist ideas, for instance, are an example of that. Yeah. Marxism, neo-Marxism, all of those, they always get regurgitated by every generation of university student in a new package or a new formula, but they're always the same, and they've never worked, they don't work, and they always end up in destitution and oppression and conformity, which is not what we want from society.
Which sounds a little bit like our society at the moment, to tell you the truth, because we've turned into a semi-Marxist communist state over my lifetime.
Yeah.